What's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be doing something that I'm very excited to be doing. So in the past, I've made a single video, which was a fan casting video where I basically made my pitch for what a live action version of a specific movie would look like, and then I casted each of the characters in it, and I had a shit ton of fun with that. That was just a random video that I decided to make because for the longest time I had an idea for who I would cast in that random animated movie, and I kind of wanted to do that again. So I picked one of my comfort movies growing up was Rise of the Guardians. This movie was a whole lot of fun. Watching some of the characters who you like kind of grow up loving and believing in, and seeing them in different lights was really cool. I think this was the first time ever I saw Santa Claus as kind of like a badass, like silver fox type Santa Claus. And he's a whole lot of fun in this. I think that the Easter Bunny being like an alcoholic type. Obviously, he's not an alcoholic in the movie, but he just gives off the vibes that he would be. And seeing him like a partier who's like feisty and ready to fight at all times is cool. I love the Tooth Fairy in this movie. I think that there was a lot of fun stuff to do with this movie, and I've been wanting to do like kind of a fan casting for it for a really long time because a couple years ago, or actually it might have been last year, they released the movie A Violent Night starring David Harbour as Santa Claus, and a lot of people jokingly were like, "Oh my God, make a Rise of the Guardians live action animated universe." What? A live action cinematic universe. That's what I meant to say. And people were jokingly like, "Oh my God, this would be perfect because David Harbour could play Santa Claus." And then people started fan casting the rest of them. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is fun." So I've had a lot of ideas juggled around for a really long time, but now I'm going to go ahead and dive right into that. Alrighty, so starting off with the main character, I feel like I could get a lot of backlash with this. I'm going to talk about Jack Frost. First of all, I think Jack Frost is a really interesting character. I feel like he's one of the most intricate characters that I've seen in a DreamWorks animated movie. He is like so complex. Like he is very, on the one hand, he's just fun. He likes having fun. He goes out there. He's just doing whatever the hell he wants because he is not seen by anybody. So he has zero, consequences for his actions. He can do whatever he wants. He's a very free-spirited person. And I think that there's a lot of fun to be had there. But something that I like is later throughout the movie, we kind of find out he's like a prankster. He's kind of a jerk. He's somebody who's been like, kind of like ruining Easters for the Easter Bunny and stuff like that. So he's somebody who you would love but also can hate if you need to. He's somebody who has that like, "Oh my God, I really love this guy" energy to him, and he kind of gives off older brother energy towards the end of the movie. So I want somebody who can play a jerk really well, and I want somebody who you also kind of really want to like because he is the main character of the story. And regardless of him being a jerk in the movie and being a jerk to specific characters, by the end of the movie, you always love him. You think he's great. He's somebody who's a sweetheart. And I got a couple of different options here. My number one is Jack Dylan Grazer. I absolutely love Jack Dylan Grazer. I think that he's a phenomenal actor. He's been around for a while. He started in one of the first It movies, and I think that it's kind of sad that somebody who has had so much potential and has been trying to get out of that like child actor like niche, he's been playing, you know, teenage roles for pretty much all of these last couple of years. And I think for actors under the age of 24, he's by far one of the most talented. And he's been stuck in the Shazam franchise. He was in the first Shazam movie and the second Shazam movie. In my opinion, he is the best part of both of those two movies. And he was supposed to do other roles. Like, he was supposed to be in Euphoria, but because of scheduling conflicts with Shazam, he couldn't do it. And I feel really bad for him. I think he's got a lot of range. I think he's got a lot of talent. And I think he would be, like, perfect for the leading role of this movie. And then my second option, I got Joshua Bassett. He is fantastic in High School Musical, the musical, the series. He definitely goes through a lot of heartbreak throughout that show. He has a lot of ups and downs with a lot of different emotions, and he has a lot of different range for that show. And I think that he definitely has potential. I definitely think he could do it. I think that he has a lot of the redeeming qualities. Like I said, he's somebody who can play a jerk relatively well, but you also really want to love him. And I think that in that show, he's kind of like the leader of like the friend group. And I feel like that has some of the older brother vibes that I was thinking about for towards the end of the movie, where he's like becoming his own character and he's really like growing into being a nice, young, blossoming, respectful man. And I think that those are two solid options. I also want to give a shout out. If I was making this fan casting about 6 or 7 years ago, I would have fan casted Logan Lerman to be this main character. I think that he's fantastic and he had the look down perfect. But now Logan Lerman's a little too old for it, in my opinion. Now, the second character I want to talk about, this is the one who basically sparked the entire idea. Obviously, I'm going to go with the most obvious option for this. So, Santa Claus in a live-action form where you need him to be somebody who's buff, who's kind of scary, somebody who is a very calm and nurturing person, but also absolutely jacked and is not afraid to start a fight if he needs to. David Harbour is literally the perfect casting for this. There's also a couple of other options. One that I wrote down was Hold up, I need to look up the pronunciation for his name. Madu Sung, something like that. He's the guy who plays Gilgamesh in the Eternals movie. I think that he's a whole lot of fun. He's a great action star. He's on the same, like, bigger size. I just don't think he has the look for Santa Claus quite as well. But he definitely has, like, some of the, like, tougher exterior, but really soft on the inside qualities that this Santa Claus would need, especially with, like, in the original animated movie, they have that sequence where he explains how, like, on the inside he's a little baby with big eyes of wonder or whatever, but on the outside he has that tough exterior. And I feel like with that metaphor, this would be a good choice for that. But that being said, David Harbour's just perfect for that role. Alrighty, next up we got the Easter Bunny. This one is very interesting because when I make these little fan casting videos, I've only done it once before, but I always have like one or two characters who I think that the voice actor could play the live action version pretty well. And the Easter Bunny is played by Hugh Jackman, who I think would do a pretty good job with it. I feel like he probably would be able to bounce off of David Harbour really well. I think that they would have this great chemistry. But at the same time, I feel like the Easter Bunny could become like a very physical role, and I feel like Hugh Jackman is a little bit on the older side, and that we might want a slightly younger actor. So if he couldn't come back to do it, I think that another possible alternative for it would be Karl Urban. I think Karl Urban is fun, and like I said earlier in this video, I feel like the Easter Bunny is kind of like made up to be kind of like an alcoholic type in the original movie. Like obviously they don't do anything to obviously make him seem like the alcoholic type. But at the same time, like, he just gives off the vibes that he would, like, get into bar fights and stuff like that. And Karl Urban, as, like, Billy Butcher and the boys, literally brings that exact energy that I'm looking for. Alrighty, next up we have the Tooth Fairy. I will be honest, this is the one that I've struggled with the hardest. I absolutely love the Tooth Fairy in this movie. I think that she's such a great, like, nurturing, like, motherly character. Somebody who could be a good English teacher is probably, like, the good, like, dynamic that we're looking for this. So obviously for the Tooth Fairy, there is one obvious answer. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour, put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours. No, I actually don't know the rest of the song. I'm sorry.
Anyways, that's a joke. To get to my actual answer, I chose Zoe Saldana. I love Zoe Saldana. I think that she's in so many good roles. I feel like she has so much range and so much potential. And something that I absolutely love about her is if you watch her in interviews, she is 100% like the mom friend. Like, she is so sweet, she's so kind, she's so nurturing, she treats everybody with so much respect, she's soft, and she's very, like, gentle, and I feel like that's something you would definitely want in this Tooth Fairy role. I think that Zoe Saldana just has that look down as well. I feel like she would be great in the Tooth Fairy role. And then my secondary option for this is Zoe Dutch, because I think that Battle of the Zoes, like, make them fight it out. I just think that Zoe Dutch really has the look down, and I think she also could play kind of like the motherly role a little well, and I think that would be fun. Now, to go with the Tooth Fairy, this one was just a little minor one that I wanted to throw in here. In the movie, she has one specific, like, Tooth Fairy who gets saved whenever the rest of them are kind of, like, stolen and kidnapped or whatever. And her name is Baby Tooth, and she's kind of a fun character. And for a decent portion of the movie, Jack Frost is kind of, like, separated from the rest of the Guardians, and he's just with Baby Tooth. So I decided I would go ahead and cast Baby Tooth, and I chose McKenna Grace. I think McKenna Grace is a whole lot of fun, and I think that she would fit in with this cast pretty well. Now, this next one is a little bit more difficult. We got Sandman, and something about Sandman, if you guys haven't seen the movie, is he does not speak at all. He's completely 100% just emoting. Obviously, they have a little, like, tricks and plays that they use in the original animated movie where he has, like, thought bubbles above his head that shows what he's thinking. And I definitely think that, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to be an actor who's fantastic at emoting, but obviously you're going to want somebody who can do a lot of facial expressions. You're going to want somebody who's very energetic. And I had a couple of choices for this. For one, I need to look at his name because I'm not going to pronounce it right. Paul Walter Hauser, I probably still didn't pronounce his name right. He's the guy who plays Richard Jewell in the movie Richard Jewell. I've seen that movie once, and I think that he's just so great in that. He does such a good job portraying so many different emotions. He's going through so many, like, stages of, like, grief a little bit. Like, he's really being attacked in that movie, and I feel like you can sense his, like, sadness really well, which is very, very important for some of the scenes where, like, the Guardians are arguing, and he's kind of, like, really sad that they're arguing. And then, like, obviously in sequences where, like, he dies and stuff like that, you want somebody who can play that emotion incredibly well without being able to say any words or any lines of dialogue. And I think that he would be good. I think he has the look down. But for some of the more, like, fun sequences, I was thinking probably somebody more upbeat and somebody who's more chipper, I said Josh Gad, the guy who voices Olaf and the guy who plays LeFou in the live action Beauty and the Beast movie. I just think he has so much energy. I think that he could bring a lot of energy to the table. When there's the scenes where Sandman is like joking around with them and playing with them and he's completely innocent, he's so much fun. And I think Josh Gad would definitely be able to play that comedic aspect incredibly well. And I think that would be fun. I think he'd be great. Now, we have another case of the whole thing where, like, the voice actor would be perfect for live action. In the movie, the villain is Pitch Black, aka the Boogeyman, and he is voiced by Jude Law, and I think Jude Law would play this villain incredibly well. Like, obviously, I want to give credit where credit's due. Jude Law voiced the villain insanely well, and he has that, like, darkness to him, which is perfect because he's somebody who is literally kind of fueled by the shadows, and he's somebody who gives people nightmares, and he's the Boogeyman. And I think he's a whole lot of fun, and I think that villain is great and still works really well for this movie. A couple of people who I've seen, because I did do a little bit of research, Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy is fantastic. I think that he would be great in this role, obviously. I think he'd kill it. He played Oppenheimer, who's kind of a darker character, who's somebody who's, like, not really negative, but, like, kind of pessimistic a little bit. And I definitely think he could play this well. I definitely think he has a good voice for it as well. But that being said, Cillian Murphy's kind of one of those people who, like, he kind of tries to do more, like, adultish roles, and I feel like he does more like mature roles. So I don't know if he would do this. He has said when people ask him about Marvel movies that it all depends on the script. So if they got a good script for this, hypothetically, I think Cillian Murphy could do it. But since he's probably potentially being ruled out, I got a couple of other people in mind. For one, I think that Pitch Black is like such like a not to say like he's a simple character to play, but there's a lot of people who could play like a dark villain. One person I picked was Andrew Garfield. I love Andrew Garfield. I would literally fan cast him in anything. So this is my designated. I have to include Andrew Garfield because he's Andrew Garfield and I love him. But also Pitch Black, if I remember correctly, I haven't seen the movie in a couple months. He's kind of the villain where like he's the kind to before a fight say like, oh, this is gonna be fun, and I feel like he's more of like a happy character. I feel like he has a lot more emotions, and like especially when he's trying to bring Jack over to the dark side, he's somebody who's very charismatic, and he's somebody who can like play off of people's like weaknesses, and he can read people like a book. And I feel like you want somebody who's smart, somebody who's mischievous, somebody who's like kind of conniving.
I have to say, this is very, very exciting. The big four, all in one place. I'm a little starstruck. Did you like my show on the Globe, North? Got you all together.
So my casting decision for this was Tom Hiddleston. I love Tom Hiddleston, and I think he would be great in this. I miss seeing him as a villain. I think that he is a very, very talented actor, and he's got that charisma down packed, and I think that he definitely has like the look with some of his like cheekbones and stuff like that. I definitely think he could play a good villain in this, and I think he'd be fun. And now for the last bit, I wanted to go ahead and say this. I definitely think that if they were to make this movie and they were to make a live action version of Rise of the Guardians, I feel like for one, they should make it PG-13 because obviously you can do more action and you can do a lot more epic stuff with it. But also, I feel like something about the first movie that doesn't make as much sense to me is they're focusing on like really, really young kids, which kind of makes sense because, you know, those are the people who still believe in Santa Claus. Those are the people who still believe in the Tooth Fairy. But I think that kind of ruins it a little bit because it's not as important that this kid actually believes in these people because he's a child. Obviously, he's still going to believe in Santa Claus. He's still going to believe in the Easter Bunny. So I feel like something that would make this movie a little bit more interesting is if Jamie and some of the other kids who are in this movie were a little bit older, probably more like 15, 16 range. Because for one, they would have lost all of their baby teeth by now. So it's not like they themselves would believe in the Tooth Fairy because the Tooth Fairy wouldn't necessarily come visit them. But I feel like it definitely would help bring towards the fact that, like, this kid still believes in Santa Claus. That's the one person he still believes in because everybody at heart, Loki, wants to believe that Santa Claus is real. And I feel like there's a lot of fun to be had there. So my fan casting for Jamie, and he's the only one of the kids who I fan casted. I didn't go through all of the kids because finding a bunch of young actors and actresses is a little difficult. And so I didn't do a whole bunch of them, but the one kid I did find was for Jamie. I picked Nolan Dubik. I looked him up because I've seen him in one role, and I thought he was a whole lot of fun, and I thought he was very charming in that, so I hope he has kind of a little successful career. But I definitely think that he could play Jamie pretty easily. You just kind of got to be a little dorky kid who still believes in Santa Claus and gets picked on by people. And yeah, but yeah, I think that, like I said, though, I do think that those kids should be a little bit older because in the original movie, they're like 10 or something, which is fun and it works. But at the same time, I feel like it'd be a little bit more interesting if they're older because them believing becomes a much more bigger deal. And I think that it'd be fun. But But yeah, that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much, and I will hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow, bow, bow.
He wanted me to drop a verse, I did this. We planned a day and then we did this. Wanna be in love with the girls with the kisses. Don't give a damn, I'll written this. I like this when I run the distance. I run a 5K, you go ballistics. I wanna live within the business. Buy more than what's on the clearances. You're getting big cause I know you're a physicist. I wanna deny this shit, I'm unlimited.